Hey guys, it's Erica, and today is the first day in like 2 or 3 weeks where it has not been extremely windy or just not fun to be outside in general. So we can go outside. I have some soil I need to mix. I usually mix my soil outside if I'm not filming it, just because it's usually nicer out there and it's easier to be able to get into it without getting dirt all over the floor. So we're just going to be doing that. It's just going to be a chill little soil mixing time. Okay, here we go. I have these coco coir bricks that I get off of Amazon. They're pretty cheap. They're not like the best quality, but they do the trick. So they come in these dehydrated bricks that of course you need to hydrate so that they get fluffy and like the coco coir mixture that we love. So that's always the first thing you want to do, because it does take about an hour for the entire brick to hydrate, and you can only start once you have your hydrated coco coir. So we're gonna start with that. This is the coco coir that I get off of Amazon. I have my little helper opening it with me. As you can see, they come in a hard brick form. I'll have these ones linked down below, but if you guys have a coco coir that you love, let me know, because I would love to try out some new ones. Like I said, it's in brick form, so we need to hydrate it. You need a container large enough to contain the expansion. So I just use this bucket. Now what we're gonna do is pour water on the top so that the brick will hydrate and become a fluffy mixture. You want to use warm water because it just absorbs more easily than cold water, and it's just gonna make the process overall much easier. We take our warm water and you want to kind of pour it on top. Not enough so that it runs over the edge, but just enough so that it soaks in from the top all the way down. Also, when pouring water, it's more efficient to go slowly and let the brick slowly soak up the water little by little, instead of having it splashing over the edge and the bottom of the brick soaking up water while the top of the brick is also soaking up water. And the way that you'll know that the coco coir has enough water is when from the side you can see how far down the water has gone. And once the base is filled with water, then that's how you know you've put enough. You don't want to put so much that there's a pool of water at the bottom of the bucket. That's how you kind of overwater your coco coir and you end up with a muddy, sludgy mess. So now pretty much for the rest of the time, we just wait. It's like about an hour before the whole entire brick soaks up all the water, because you want to make sure even the bottom portions are full of water, otherwise they're still going to be hard and crunchy. And then we can finally get to mixing. But you can see it's not really ready yet because of how watery it is. And you can just pre-mix it if you want, but this is looking very good. So I have pretty much all of my soil supplies here and my cat litter box, which is used exclusively for mixing soil. If you don't have one of these and you mix soil a lot, I highly recommend it. It's really great because it's really easy to mix and it's really helpful for repotting like really big plants. First, I'm gonna start off by putting in my coco coir. So you can see the coir is still a little bit wet, but that's fine. Next, I'm pouring in the worm castings, which you don't need too much of. This is like the fertilizer / nutrient part of the soil mix. Now you can see I'm putting in the pumice, which I put much more of than the worm castings because we need a lot of this to keep the soil from clumping and to let air flow through. You could also add perlite instead of pumice, but I much prefer pumice because it doesn't rise to the top of the soil and it doesn't break down as easily into powder. you can see it's starting to look like an actual soil, even though it is a little bit soggy. This is medium-sized orchid bark, and it's good for also aerating the soil, but it does hold on to some water, so it's not going to dry out super quickly, and your plant will still have some moisture to grab onto. It's also really good for aroid plants or plants that just like to grow onto trees because it mimics that tree bark and the roots can grab onto it. Even if your plant doesn't really like growing on trees, it's still good for aeration. Now we're adding in charcoal, which is good for removing impurities from the soil. And this is the soil mix that I'm adding in. This is the Fox Farms Rainforest of the Sea soil mix. I'll have all of these amendments linked down below. A lot of them are much easier to buy in store though, and they can usually be found at DIY home centers, Armstrong garden centers, and Green Thumb nurseries. So that's how I make the soil mix. As you can see, once I added in the Fox Farms, it literally doubled my mix. And whenever I am potting like a certain plant or anything, I can add in certain amendments according to what the plant would like. So this is how the mix looks, and of course it would have been better to wait until the coco coir was dry before making this mix because it just makes it a lot harder, but I think this looks great. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my little soil container. Whenever I put soil into my container, I like to scoop a base amount inside the container so when I rest the mixture on top of the box, it doesn't tip over, because I've definitely done that before and then soil goes everywhere and it's not fun. That's pretty much it. That's how I make my soil. I pretty much do everything by eye. I don't measure anything out specifically. If you want a more measured out video, I have some like that. But I just do everything by eye, and I feel like the more you make your soil, the more you know what consistency you like your soil to be. You know how much of each amendment that you want in your soil, and then you water your plants accordingly to what you have made your soil mix to be. And then I also sometimes get questions about getting like mold or fungus gnats into the soil mix container, and sometimes that does happen and you can easily fix that. What I do is I will roll my little container out into the sun, leave it open, and once the top part dries, I'll rotate the soil so that the more moist part is on top, and I'll dry that part out as well. And that pretty much solves everything. If there's mold, just scoop the mold out and then you can leave it in the sun. Putting the soil in the sun helps a lot. It's not really an issue that's concerning. I'd much rather have my soil in a container like that, because when I finish potting a plant or making a little soil mix for a plant, then I used to like leave those pots all over my room but now I can just pour them into my soil mix and just mix it all in there, because I know what amendments I'm using and all of that good stuff. So let me know if you like mixing your own soil, what your soil mix is. If you like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy your lazy Sunday. I will be enjoying mine, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!